In today's class, we're going to continue our discussion on the supply of a good or service. If you haven't seen our first video on the basics of supply, I'll leave a link for you in the description below. Today, we'll see the main factors that shift supply: the price of inputs, technological advancements, expectations, and the price of goods from the same production plant. Ready to jump in? Before we get to the factors that shift the supply curve, let's differentiate between a movement along the supply curve and a shift of the supply curve. Let's start with the definition of the law of supply. What does the law of supply tell us? The law of supply says that the quantity supplied of a good increases when its price increases, with all else held constant. This means only one thing is changing: the price of the good. All the other factors that influence supply are constant. Let's consider the first price, P1, and the quantity supplied, Q1. Now, if the price increases to P2, what happens? We have a new quantity supplied, Q2, which is greater than the previous one. The price increased, and the quantity supplied also increased. We've moved from point A to point B. This is what we call as a movement along the curve. Therefore, the movement along the supply curve occurs exclusively when there is a change in the price of the good or service. Now, if something other than the price is changing, if that all else held constant is no longer valid, we're going to have a shift of the supply curve. This shift can be to the right or to the left. A shift to the right happens when something decreases the cost of production or increases the production capacity. This means the supplier will increase the quantity supplied at every price level. On the other hand, a shift to the left happens when something increases the costs of production or decreases the production capacity. This means the supplier will decrease the quantity supplied at every price level. Now, you might be asking, what are the factors that can cause these shifts? The main ones are the price of inputs, which are the resources used to produce the good or service, the price of related goods from the same production plant. For example, in a pizza place, if you produce pizza and calzones, a change in the price of one can affect the supply of the other. Expectations. A future expectation can affect the supply of a good or service today. Technological advancements that affect the supply of a good or service. Let's start with the price of inputs. What do we need to produce a good? Inputs are needed, and the prices of these inputs affect the production cost. Let's think of a pizza place. To make a pepperoni pizza, what is needed? Flour, yeast, tomatoes, mozzarella, pepperoni sausage, and onions. These are all inputs. Now let's assume the price of tomatoes dropped. Since tomatoes are an input, their price drop makes it less costly to produce a pizza. So a drop in the tomatoes' price affects the supply positively, so the supply increases and the supply curve shifts to the right. If you're enjoying our content and want to help us grow, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and drop a comment. Now let's think in reverse. The price of tomatoes increased. What will this do? It will make pizza more costly to produce. Supply is affected negatively. The supply curve shifts to the left. Now let's find out how the discovery of a new, more pest-resistant strain of corn affects the corn supply. What happened here? A technological advancement. The new strain is more resistant, which means farmers can produce corn more efficiently because they lose less of their crop to pests. This will result in a decrease in their production cost, and that will positively affect the supply. So the supply curve for corn will shift to the right. A cold snap in Florida damages the orange crop. This affects the producers. Production capacity decreases. For all price levels, producer is willing to offer a lower quantity of orange. This has a negative impact on the supply of oranges. Supply of oranges shifts to the left. Now let's look at the effect on the supply of coffee when there is a change in expectations. Let's suppose that for some reason, the producer expects the price of coffee will rise in the future. It is less profitable to produce coffee today. What will the coffee producer prefer to do? He will store his production today because he wants to sell it later when the price is higher. This has a negative impact on the supply of coffee, so the coffee supply will decrease today and the supply will shift to the left today. Now let's see how a change in the prices of related goods in a production plant affects the supply of pizza. Let's assume that a pizza place can sell pizza and calzone. Now, what happens if the price of calzones went up? Since calzones are now more profitable, the producer can choose to dedicate more time to producing them. By producing more calzones, the producer will have to reduce his pizza supply. This has a negative impact on the supply of pizza, and the supply curve will shift to the left. That's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you'll know when new videos are posted.